Salam alaikum rahmatullah. This is another episode of Family Matters and your host Pete Mwanza. Today we'll be looking at family finance. What is family finance? In many families, money talk is very complicated and can lead to really ugly situations. I had a friend who would not discuss any money-related matters with his wife, and we'll delve into that a little bit more. It really depends, of course, on the context here, but money talks really brings in things like guilt, embarrassment, and so on and so forth. Actually, in some families, it calls into question your true beliefs about money and how that is intertwined with love, with securing your family future, with trust, and much more. And with me here in the studios, I have four really handsome gentlemen who will help me unlock and unpack this very pertinent topic. I'll ask them to introduce themselves very briefly, starting with the handsome gentleman on my immediate left.
Thank you, Pete. Solomon Seron Georgie is my name, a family man of one wife and four children. I always enjoy all things family because first and foremost, they nourish me, and thereafter share with the rest of you. Together, we make our families stronger.
Welcome, Solomon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, viewers, wherever you are. My name is Leonard Chirenje, and I'm an assistant professor dealing with sustainability studies. I'm a family man as well, a husband to one wife, blessed with two kids. Family issues, family matters are things that touch my heart.
Welcome, Leonard. You're a veteran on this show. It's always good to have you here.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Tashken Davis. I am a family man, of course. I'm an accountant by profession, having 20 plus years of experience. I have one beautiful wife and two beautiful girls. And of course, family matters is so important to me because it kind of let me feel bonded. It allows me to feel a bond with my wife, my kids, and as such, I pay very close attention to that bond and developing that bond and keeping that bond within the home.
Welcome, Tashken. In fact, Tashken is making his debut on Family Life Matters. We are thrilled to have you. The guests have introduced themselves, and they're all different. They come in different shapes and sizes. They have got different hobbies. They've got different professions, as you've heard. But one thing and one thing alone binds them together, and that's all things family. I'd like to remind our viewers to subscribe, like, and share. And also, if you do have any questions or comments, please feel free to just write to us using the email that you see scrolling right now on the screen. But to kick us off, I would like to understand from Solomon, what is family finance?
Oh, thank you, Pete. So, family finance, first of all, family, as we know, is the smallest unit, organized unit in any society. And it's also the smallest financial institution in a society. And family finance is how these families, manage resources. Basically, resource management for purposes of survival or meeting family needs. In a family, different people have different needs, and it's through financial management that we're able to, conduit our own interests and develop them. So families do that through budgeting, through communication, and so on and so forth.
Thanks, Solomon. Really nice and concise. So Tashken is the financial expert in our midst. So what is family finance planning?
Thank you, Peter. Well, first of all, family finance planning is sort of a comprehensive and well-tailored plan that families come together to achieve their financial goals. You put that plan in place so that you will be able to achieve your financial goals. For example, first of all, you have to assess your financial capabilities. What are your capabilities as a family?
All right.
Then you set strategic goals, smart goals, to achieve these plans. So it's first of all planning, discussing where you are as a family in terms of your financial resources, discussing where you want to go, and basically pooling these resources together to with the goals that you set, and to your best you can achieve them. So there are a number of things that you may need to do, for example, in this kind of an exercise. First of all, you may need to come up with a budget based on your resources, and then you will seek to, based on your budget, on a month-by-month basis, see how well you can achieve your budget based on your different needs, right? And there are so many needs that families have that makes it very essential or very important for them to put a budget together. For example, you're looking at your children's education, for example. You're looking at long-term saving schemes. For example, you're looking at schemes related to retirement. Your retirement plans, for example. You need to find, for example, emergency fund.
Excellent.
If we were to lose our job, can we exist for the next 3 to 6 months? So things like those drive how we put our plans together.
Really interesting. What you said about, I never think about this. Like if I was to lose my job today, you're talking about, having a fund that will take you mentioned 3 to 6 months. We'll see what that's based on, but really, really good. Now, Leonard, I was smiling when Tashken was offloading his knowledge in family finance matters. He was saying a family comes together. But I know, and Leonard, right? We talked about this off screen, that this can be one of the very uncomfortable topic to discuss financial matters within a family. Why is this so?
Well, Pete, there are several factors that cause to that. The first one is culture at some point. Whereby some people grew up in an environment where men are supposed to be in control of everything, and women are known only to spend money without really thinking about where the money is coming from. So that culture and that understanding can cause lack of transparency. I should control the money. I cannot trust my wife. That's one challenge. And then when you look at it, when a man or one of the partners feels I cannot trust anyone, they don't even communicate, even to the little children or anything. The child will come and say, for my birthday, I want a bicycle. And the father cannot afford the bicycle. And he gets angry at the child. Why? They are not transparent about their finances. No, that's basics. Communication, transparency, culture, all these are mingling to ensure that there's a problem when it comes to talking about finance. But most importantly, there are some issues which are not easy to talk about. For instance, a will. It comes with budgeting, it comes with planning. If I'm no longer there, how are my family going to divide these assets? Because finance is not only about the money. It's also about the assets that you own. Who's going to manage these assets? How are they going to manage them if I'm gone? And the reason why it's so difficult to discuss wills, because by nature we don't want to die. So how can I then start planning if I plan in my culture, if I plan with my wife, the next month I'm dead.
Oh dear me.
So I don't want to discuss that, and so it makes family finances difficult to talk about. Your culture, lack of transparency, this dominant factor, especially when it comes to us men. I'm not going to say women are like that, but us, I feel that I am the president, the financial manager. I'm the one going to work. I should be managing the money.
So just on this, Leonard, I was going to talk about the will a little bit later, but since you've sort of brought it up, I'd like to continue with you. So what's a will? What is a will?
A will, let me put it in simpler terms. A will is a declaration of assets. We have these assets. If I am here, it belongs to all of us. If I am no longer here, how are these assets going to be distributed among those who remain? Who is going to be in charge? Who is going to be in charge of what? If you have a piece of land, is it your wife who's going to be in charge, or you want to leave it to your children, or if you want to leave it to your brothers? And this, now, here's the problem. If I want to leave it to my brother, what am I saying about my wife?
Okay.
So a will is a declaration of the assets and how they are going to be managed when someone is there or they are not there. You know, a will is not about when you are dead. It's actually about when you are alive, I believe.
Okay.
You are saying we are sharing this.
Okay.
Whether I'm here or not, this is how we are supposed to manage what we have.
So Leonard, or Solomon, who should do the will in a family? Is it the husband? Is it the wife?
Well, when Leonard was speaking,
Well, first of all, Solomon, do you have a will?
No, will is not. We were discussing offline. I come from a generation where wills are not very popular.
Okay.
But I think that I'm beginning to subscribe more to the idea.
Okay.
And having listened to my wise man here, my neighbor, I think it's incumbent. I still think, however, that there are different opinions on how wills should be handled. It depends on culture and so on and so forth. But the one with the resources, the one who is entitled to the resources in living, should be the one to draft the will. You cannot be drafting a will when you have emptiness.
Okay, now this is tricky. This is tricky what Solomon has said. Tashken, I'd like to get your view here, because when you introduced family finance, right? My perception was we, right? But Solomon here is saying the one who has the resources. So I'm a bit confused. What are your thoughts on this?
Actually, I'm a bit confused by Solomon's comment.
Solomon confuses us all.
Because when we say family, we're speaking about togetherness. And my family is my wife. So whatever I do, it's a representation of my wife and my children, right? So when it comes on to who should do the will or who should, I'm actually thinking that I'm doing the will. The man or the woman or both could do a will on behalf of the family, because it is a family unit, and there's no way you're going to have the man, for example, taking charge of the will and it doesn't represent the wife, or vice versa. Whoever does it is representing the family. And so from my standpoint, it doesn't matter which of them does the will. Or I also think both of them can do a will, because a will is in case something happens, right? So you can have the husband doing the will, or you can have the wife doing the will.
Okay.
So I think that's how it's supposed
Thank
to
you. It's not really clear to me here, but maybe Leonard, because we need, I think the viewers want real clarity. I get it. I subscribe to what you're saying, Tashken, to say, this is a teamwork. But exactly on the on how it's done, I'm not clear. Leonard, I see you're getting excited here.
I'm getting excited because I forgot of one point,
Okay.
which causes problems when it comes to family finances.
Okay.
You see, when you have a family, rightly said by Tashken, it's two people, basically.
Okay.
Husband and wife.
Okay.
Children are extras.
Okay.
Now, when these two people meet, in other countries down, they talk of prenuptial agreements. I had this, so it should not be shared. And
By the way, Solomon loves these prenup agreements. He.
when you have a prenuptial agreement which talks about who owns what,
Yeah.
automatically you're saying, to me, when you're married, you're saying in this relationship it's transsexual. It's a transaction.
Transactional.
You keep your stuff, I'll keep my stuff. There are boundaries to our relationship. But if it is what has been ordained by culture in the normal marriage, then it's a double affair. The husband and wife, I know Solomon is not going to like this, but the husband and wife both can write a will.
Okay, so guys, you're not being clear here, please. So what are the mechanics? Do they come together and agree? This is where I'm not clear.
I was actually coming back.
Okay, go ahead.
So
go ahead.
here's the thing. When we are married,
Yeah.
when I got married, I'm happy I didn't have much. Then we started growing together.
Correct.
So whatever I own now, how can I call it mine? So my wife can actually write a will on whatever property we have, because I believe, and I'm not saying this to discourage anyone, I actually believe that it's much as hers as it is mine. I could not have achieved it without her.
Okay.
So if we had come to a marriage and I already had a hotel, maybe I could think like this, like I'm the owner. But because I didn't have, and I believe I got lifted up because of whether she gave me ideas or not, her presence has brought us to where we are. For that reason, I believe anyone who's married, whatever property you have, whether you had accumulated it before your marriage, now belongs to both of you, and she has as much right to write a will based on those properties. That's why I'm saying any of the two should be able to write a will declaring that this house should go to the other. I would believe a normal relationship would say my husband will be in charge of this.
So Solomon,
I even forgot what I was going to say, but I cannot go without really addressing this. There is a place, there are things that can be written by two people mutually, but there is property, for example, that has been accrued, before you got married with other people, right? And yes, there is a new entrant in this deal, but she's not the only player. And you have to somehow, I don't think she'll be happy for you to draft a will and include other people that were, were responsible for building this business empire that now you're enjoying with your wife. That is one problem. The other thing, you should have a say in how things are managed when you're gone, even if you're not there. For example, if your wife then marries and gets other children, is it okay for you to bring in those other children to be heirs to the same throne, to the same things? How do you want to see them? So I see it as a right for me to express how I would like my portion of that empire
without
to
your
be
wife,
disbursed.
without your spouse.
No, without. But I'm saying that I should have a say.
Now, just you brought in a very interesting point here, right? I would like you to address power play. First of all, explain what power play is, and then briefly, because it's linked to sort of what, when you said, when I come in with my empire, before I get married, right? There are other parties who are privy to that who should benefit, and I should be able to transact. So, can you talk about power play?
Power play in the family context is basically a projection of power. It's like a power struggle. And normally you don't have a power struggle when you have a power struggle when you have resources. And there is need for us to have validation in the family. Who is actually in control of these resources? And normally power play comes in when, I think earlier you alluded to a man being the provider, the protagonist, bringing in all the resources.
And it could be a woman, right? It could be whoever. So really, you're looking at whoever is earning more, let's say, right, or whoever has come in with financial muscle, right? They tend usually, right, to want to dictate the financial priorities, and that can sort of downplay the importance of the other party, right?
In the English tradition, there is a saying that he who pays the piper calls the tunes. They used to say that if you go on the street and you want a certain tune to be played for you, and you pay for that tune, Leonard, who did not pay for that, has no right to select the tune. So power play is exactly what
True, you're right. You're absolutely right. So this is a problem in a marriage, right?
Absolutely.
So how I would like to hear from you guys as well. So how power play? How do we address? Because it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I remember when I was young and a little bit immature. I would be speaking to friends and I would be saying, I'll build a house, and then my wife would hear that and she would come to say, "Why are you saying I?" And this becomes a problem, right? And of course, I mature a little bit. But how do we address power play?
Well, first of all, as I've kept saying, family means togetherness. No, it is out there that the men, for example, or the person earning most money, person bringing in the most financial resources, those are the ones who are more powerful. As it relates to decision making, as it relates to how the finances are managed, right? But I believe that should not be the case. I believe that when you have proper communication, when you have an effective family, I believe that that sort of a power struggle should not exist. No, it does exist.
Yeah.
I know it does exist. And I know for most part, it is because of I have this amount, I'm earning this or I'm
Yeah.
earning that.
Yes, yes.
So it is there. But
So how do you solve it? Tashken, I need practical points here.
Yes.
To say, it is there, right?
Yeah, it is
so
there.
how can, so let's say, what are some practical things couples can do, to sort of
I can kick Tashken off. I have one thing, maybe I will say.
Before I speak. Okay, go ahead.
No, very quickly.
yeah, we'll be going on a break very soon. So just 30 seconds. Okay.
We are all human beings, and in a family we have some kind of needs, right? And if everybody is on some kind of children as well, they have their own ambitions. The wife has their own ambitions. If we identify our own objectives, what are our own objectives in the family? Do we have a common objective or not? That somehow then can diffuse this.
No, Solomon, I disagree. Because it is still there. You're not answering my question, guys. Chirenje, 30 seconds.
Solomon has not addressed the issue of power play.
Okay.
Yeah. When we are talking of power play, we've got two unequal partners.
Yes.
But once you are married, I believe that's what I say. You are now equal.
Okay, so how do you demonstrate this?
Who supposedly has more power has to bring the equality, and in most cases is the man.
Okay.
Acknowledge your wife as your partner, not as your child.
And
That's what I think.
that means I like what you've said, Leonard. This is what I was. So, and that means sometimes giving them what access.
Give them. You are the president. They are the minister of finance.
This is a lot. This is very difficult. I saw Solomon's eyes popping when you said, All right, guys. Now we need to go on a break. Right now, it's getting hot here. I can see the gentlemen.
We are not in agreement.
No, I like what you said.
So viewers, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll pick up from where we are, and we'll be able, hopefully, to answer some of the questions that you may have. So just a reminder, please like, subscribe, and share. This is Family Matters. See you in a bit. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's special message is about managing family finances. Managing family finances wisely brings peace of mind, strengthened bonds, and builds a secure future. With a clear budget and savings plan, you can reduce stress, prepare for emergencies, and achieve family goals together. Every smart financial choice today creates lasting stability and joy for tomorrow. Stay safe, see you next time, and goodbye.
Welcome back, viewers. This is Family Matters, and I'm your host, Pete Mwanza. We'll build on to the topics we were looking at just before the break. So I think we broke off talking about wills. It was quite hot here. I just want to say the program is not about wills, but will is a part of family financial matters. We will hopefully have a dedicated topic looking at trusts, wills, etc., etc. So please do watch out for that in the near future. But right now, Tashken, how does one or a couple go about securing the financial future of the family? I need the details.
Very good question, Peter. Now, I spoke earlier about the budget, and I spoke earlier about managing the budget. And I spoke also earlier about specific things that should be within your budget.
Okay.
That within your plan. And specifically when you talk about a family's future, you're talking about things like your retirement. You're talking about things like insurance. You're talking about things like debt management, for example. Now, it is important that when you set these goals and when you draft this plan, that there is a substantial amount in there for those things. For debt management, for example, do we have large debts right now? When we're talking about our future, we need to be able to come up with ways we can clear those debts.
Okay.
Can we get lower interest rates, for example, loans to clear some of the debts? Okay. For example, can we find a way as a couple to first of all ensure that what percentage of our funds monthly are going towards our retirement scheme, and we need to be intentional with how we set these goals. Now, for example, setting goals and not monitoring them on a consistent basis is going to
Okay.
be a problem.
Okay.
So what we do, and I always tell my wife this, similar to me managing the finances of my company at work.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
Okay.
This family, we are going to manage it monthly intentionally. So for example, we are going to be doing an analysis of, we call it a variance analysis monthly. Are we keeping in tune with our budget on a
excellent.
monthly basis?
Excellent.
So here is your budget, for example, and on a monthly basis, you monitor. This is supposed to go towards your retirement. Is it doing that? If it doesn't, why? So all these monthly analysis we have to do as a group. So the budget is labeled, it's tailored, it's presented, and every single month we monitor. How are we doing against that budget? And if we're not intentional in how we go about this, we will vary, we will go off track.
So out of interest, since you're doing this variance check, what is on average the monthly variance? When I mean, based on what you planned and actually, just if it's not a secret, Tash.
No. The thing is, some of these things are actually, you take out like with the bank, for example, you have no control over them. They happen regardless. You don't touch those monies, right?
Okay.
So, for example, your retirement plan funds, right? For example,
Correct.
That is a compulsory save. This is compulsory. So you don't have, what you have access to most of the time are maybe your expenses, your funds that you set aside for your entertainment, etc. And these are the ones that you kind of have some play with. So these ones you're saying you can afford to vary somewhat. So in answering this question specifically, things like entertainment, for example,
Okay.
things like even your food, like your clothes, or these kind of expenses, you can afford to play with those. And
All right.
those are the ones that have the most variances. But compulsory expenses, because you make some of them very compulsory.
So, but Tashken, again, I don't think I got how I would secure my family's financial future. So you talk about, I get it, retirement funds, right? What else? I think that spoke loudly to me, but what else? I mean, how do I secure my... So you've talked about a budget.
Yes.
So in that budget, and you've talked about, okay, have a budget and monitor that budget on a monthly basis. I think this is excellent, right? And understand if the budget, if the execution is not as per budget, understand why.
Understand.
Right?
Yes.
Now, in that budget, what are some of the elements? So you talked about... Can you just, what should be the key elements in a budget?
Savings.
Okay.
For example, how much will I save on a monthly basis?
So how do you determine that? Is there a percent? Is there a rule of thumb?
There is a rule of thumb. Yes.
Okay.
There is. Well, generally, what they're saying is that 50%, for example, of your resources, financial resources available to you, goes towards expenses. Maybe another 30% of that is available to you will go towards. You save 20%. For example,
Okay.
and 30% I think goes towards not quite sure, no, but it's a 50-30-20 rule, right?
Okay.
And you try to save at least 20%. Yeah, but sometimes it's based on your financial resources available to you. You may
Okay.
not be able to meet that, or you may be able to exceed that,
Okay.
depending on how it fits to your specific family retirement.
Okay.
For example, we can save 30%. 30% can go towards savings if you are intentional, and if the long-term goal, you have different long-term goals for your family. Your children's education, for example, that's a long-term goal that you have when you have small children.
Yeah.
The retirement is a long-term goal you have for your family. There are insurance schemes which are also long-term goals, which is part of retirement, which is part of retirement also. So those three, I think, are the basic ones. For example, if you are saving for a house, for real estate, for example, these things you have to be very intentional. You have to make them time bound, and based on the time available to you, accordingly you save whatever percentage. So you work out whatever percentage you need to save based on the time you expect it to mature.
Thank you, Tashken. I'll get back to you. Now, Leonard, I'd like you to just build on what Tashken has said here. So he's talked about the budget. Now, who's responsible to actually do this budget in the family, and what are the do's and don'ts?
Yeah, if it's a family personally, I think it should be husband and wife.
Husband and wife.
Regardless.
So they come together.
Yeah, regardless of who's working or not.
Okay.
Because the money is supposed to be for the family.
Okay.
And if it's for the family, especially in our context, if you don't share how much is on the table, the other party will always think there's a lot of money somewhere.
Okay.
So if we are now budgeting together,
Okay.
and we know this is what is in the pot, then we can specify 50% is going to cover our expenses.
Okay.
20% is going to be our savings.
Okay.
Then that's where you ask the difficult questions.
Okay.
With the 30%, if my job is going to end, for how long can it sustain us?
Yeah.
You find out that most of the 30% will sustain you for 2 months.
So this is guys, you've brought up something really, really good, Tashken, Leonard, and yourself, Solomon. I like this idea of thinking, I need to have something in case, God forbid, in case I lost my job. This should, I think Tashken mentioned this 3-month period. So you're saying this portion should be in that 30% bracket. So this is separate from the savings.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I guess one I think you've opened a whole can of worms, Leonard, here, because you're saying the husband and wife should come together, right? So there should be full transparency. So the wife should know how much the husband is earning, and the husband should know how much the wife is earning. Is this what you're saying?
Yes, there are key terms that we work with there. It's not the amount of money in the account that is worth. It is the amount of communication that makes the money worthy.
Okay.
If the wife does not know how much you have, no matter how lovely you plan and everything, it will always hit a snag because it's you.
Really, really, really powerful.
But once, if you have 100 dirham, and the wife knows we only have 100 dirham, as a family you work together that this 100 dirham covers what we need. Whatever expense, if I wanted jewelry, I know we cannot afford it. But if, I have had that personal experience, if the wife does not know, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because she always thinks probably you are having another wife somewhere.
Yeah.
So I must make sure I take every single cent that I can from you.
Yeah.
So it's not only about the percentages. It's about shared experiences. Yeah. This is what we are going through.
Yeah.
Right now at our job, this is what inflation is like this. The money we were saving can no longer buy what we had planned to do. We were in Japan. I'll give you an example of myself. We were in Japan. And when we had a nice saving and we were in agreement. But when we left Japan, the yen came down against the US dollar. What we thought we were supposed to have was halved. Now, if I was not communicating with my wife about this is the situation, what do you think the relationship was going to be like?
Very, very, really, really powerful. Now, Solomon, what about the children? How do the children come in all this? So Leonard has sort of talked about, with Tashken, very strong about both partners should participate in the budget. They should agree. They should be transparency. Husband knows what the wife is earning. Wife knows what the husband is earning. And it is a joint sort of collaboration. What about the children? What?
I think children should also, they need to have a say in how finances are governed to a certain extent, because they are under training, and if they don't really understand how things are done from the go, one, they'll start violating some of the boundaries, such as, on my birthday I need this and that, but also they feel frustrated that their ambitions are not met. Children want to go to Harvard, they want to go to Oxford, and you're not talking about that. One day they'll get good grades and they say, here is the grades, I want to go to Oxford, and at that time it will not matter about your financial things. You need to let them know, the reality of the matter.
Should they be involved in the budget drafting?
To some extent, you have to, exactly. Some of them may be complex, but they have to understand how things are governed.
Actually, you're absolutely right, Solomon. I am glad you brought in this idea. I have two teenage daughters, right? And so they're going to these schools where we have to pay money for the education, and they never knew how much was being paid for the fees. Recently, my wife shared with one of my daughters, and her jaw was dropping. See, this is how much you're paying, and you could see, the mindset changes. So I really agree. I think it's really important that we bring in the children as well,
Yeah.
so that they understand in this.
It doesn't have to be complex, but you give them something for the month and you say, this is how much you have. Give me an accountability at the end of the month. Give us some feedback, and then ballpark, what do you need this month? Is it a shirt? Let them have a say in
Correct.
how things are done.
Excellent.
That way they may understand. Like my son, normally he tells me he wants to go to pilot school. I know it's a humongous thing and I have no way of doing that, but softly I have to let him understand that these things are expensive. We have alternatives, but if you don't, one day you're going to bridge that trust between them.
Excellent. I think some really powerful things are coming through. Now we have a few questions from
Can
the
I
viewers.
just say something
Yes.
before? Culture is very important. We didn't talk about this, and
Okay.
religion as well.
Okay.
In some religions, a woman is not supposed to get involved in she's not encouraged to bring her own finances to the table. The man, it's believed that finances for the woman, it's only for her to take care of herself and look good for the man. When a man starts to take part of that, it is seen as this man is a weak man. He's not sufficient. So we have to contextualize
Okay.
certain things. The man in some cultures, you have to provide all the way,
Okay.
regardless whether your wife is working
Okay.
or not.
But you've brought in something, because there's actually a question from one of the viewers, and I would like you guys to comment now really quickly. So we have a few questions. So I would like each one of you to attempt one. So I'll read them. I'll just read them as they came in, yeah? I'm calling them hot potatoes here. So I've removed the names, okay? Just to protect our viewers and those who are asking questions. So Solomon, I would like you to take this one first.
Sure.
She doesn't want to have sex anymore because she's exhausted from watching the kids all day and taking care of everything around the house. But we can't afford childcare or a housekeeper. I work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and come home very tired, and I'm not in good shape to help out at home. What should I do?
Who comes at 6? The husband?
The husband.
The husband.
So
okay.
basically,
Yeah.
the wife is overloaded
Yes.
at home with doing all this, right? And the husband is saying, look, our finances will not allow us to get childcare. He would love to get childcare. He would like to get a house help. And because he's working 6 to 6 and his job is really tedious, it's manual. He's not, when he comes home, he's in bad shape to look after the kids and all that. And the wife is saying, no more bedroom action because I'm really tired. So this is putting a stress on the marriage because it's actually financial.
Right.
The root is financial. So how?
The rule of life is 2 wrongs do not make a right. To some extent, both of them are sort of in conflict because, it is not right for a man. It depends on the work, but if he's mostly doing mental work, it's different from physical work. When the woman says that she's really burnt out, that is physical labor. I believe the man should be, to some extent, be able to chime in physically, even if he may be, psychologically.
He says he's tired.
He's tired, but that's not accurate because if it is an office job, you still have.
No, we don't know it's office job. We don't know if it's office or labor job.
Yeah, no, but regardless,
Okay.
you cannot let your if normally women, when they say they are tired, they're being genuine. From my experience, they're genuine and they are speaking out like they really need help. And sometimes it's not a lot. It could be taking out.
So what's the solution? What's the solution here?
The solution, I think, the man should be more. It seems like the man is not doing enough. He is trying to give his provision as an excuse for running away from family chores. I believe the man should open up more. But this is where the problem is. 2 wrongs do not make a right. Denying a man sex can only make things worse. Because you don't want your man to start thinking of using his resources to find sex elsewhere. That is very dangerous.
So are you threatening the woman in this?
No, I think there has to be open communication. Open communication for both parties to understand each other. Do not provide hell and gloom on your woman just because you're providing all this. But likewise, don't also deny your husband his conjugal rights just because.
Thank you. Do you think some counseling could also help in this case?
It could help. That is if it's far and beyond. Some of the things can be fixed in the house. to some extent. I'm not sure if counseling would downright be there, because that's also another expense.
So maybe it's also, as you say, there's some communication aspect in this. But anyway, thank you for that. Leonard, there's a question here. Both my husband and I work. Recently, my husband started asking me to contribute to the rental payments of our house. I have refused, stating that it's a man's responsibility to take care of the family. I have my brothers who I'm supporting, 2 brothers I'm supporting with my limited income that I get from my humble job. And if I start to contribute towards rentals, this will affect my ability to support my brothers in school. I feel this is putting a strain on our marriage. I love my husband, but I'm afraid his request is forcing me to choose between my marriage and supporting my brothers. What should I do?
The marriage comes first. That's the first point. The second thing is that one is a communication issue.
Okay.
Clearly, we have this comes back to couch, as you are saying, whereby the husband's money is our money and my money is my money. This is what the wife is basically saying, and that is very wrong.
Okay.
If you are both working, the money, regardless of whether you are male or female in the house, is shared.
Okay.
There's no other way to look at that.
Okay.
If we want equal rights, then we should be equal as well in terms of financing the house.
Okay.
Then if you are looking more at your family, rather your extended family, more than your own family, automatically there's a problem. And I am normally on the side of the women, but in this case, my sister, you are absolutely wrong.
Okay.
We don't do that. First of all, take care of your husband. Your responsibility is your husband. Your brothers, they have to be responsible for themselves. Or your parents have to take care. You have to actually ask your husband for permission to use your meager resources to assist. And the husband will tell you, we have got this. So sit down, budget as a family, find out what your needs are, meet those needs first. Then whatever is left, meet the needs of your family.
Loud and clear, and I saw you're usually smiling, but you're very serious when answering this one.
On this one.
Tashken, thank you very much, Leonard.
Yeah.
Tashken, there's another question here. My husband is very loving and caring, but he's very sensitive when it comes to talking about finances. He's a very successful businessman and owns several assets. When I asked him to write a will, he got very upset and accused me of wishing him death. This has put a strain on our marriage. What should I do?
First of all, this is a very interesting one. I think, for example, this is a clear case of not enough communication and transparency within the marriage. First of all, if you are a couple, as I said before it gets to this point, you should have sat down as a couple and prioritize, put your things on the table. And very transparent, very open. And even in the other cases you discussed with Leonard and Solomon earlier, it is a clear case where communication and transparency was not present.
Yeah.
Right? Because these things should not have waited until these things happen after a while. Once the financial resources of the family is pooled, it's together, and the financial resources are supposed to be allocated. If that is established at the start of the relationship, or at the start of the marriage, or this is done on a consistent basis, for example, every year, then you would not find that these challenges come up. But this man, though, who is talking, it's typical. It's typical of what is happening. People don't want to probably make a will. People don't want to, they want to hide certain things from their wives. And that's, if it is that is happening, then it is going to compromise the marriage.
Yeah.
And things are not going to work out as it should.
So communication.
Communication
We're coming
and
back.
transparency.
Very last one. I would like Solomon and you guys within 30 seconds each, you can chime in. There's another question. I didn't want to drop it off. I recently discovered that my spouse has very big debts that has pushed the family on the knife edge of bankruptcy. Our 4 credit cards are maxed out. I don't know why they have 4 credit cards actually, but you're saying they're maxed out. And recently I discovered that my spouse took out 2 loans and our 2 current accounts are overdrawn. Debt is suffocating us. I can't see a way out. Please help.
Well, that is not a good situation to be in, but there is hope. Where there is life, there is hope. So the most important thing is to clear the debt. The good news is that people are not executed for not paying, debts. So there is going to be some hard times, depending on the debt period, 2-3 years. Those are hard times. Once you go through this healing time, the good news is that there is always a way to learn and start afresh.
There is hope.
There is hope.
There is hope.
There is hope. The other thing we didn't talk about, I think maybe later, investments and upskilling, so that, as we grow older, we need to upskill to be able to finance ourselves better. So if you're in a date, you should be able to expand your resources and your skills so that you can, accelerate the debt payment and help your spouse.
Thank you very much. Tashken, very, very quickly, this debt, as a financial expert, how do Solomon says there's hope, so debt has to be, how do they go about it? Because I feel this is a very big problem. So really, within 30 seconds, what advice can you give?
I agree with Solomon that there is hope. There is much hope. Debt, for example, is something that it can be, you can eliminate the debt gradually over time. You can gradually. So you can assess the debt as it is now and see what it is. What am I paying back?
Okay.
Having pooled your financial resources together, what can we do? Can we get a lower interest rate facility to clear this debt? Extend the length of time, for example, to pay off a particular debt.
Yeah.
And so we can see, rather than expending so much money on a monthly basis, it will be less money, but it might be expended over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So these things, and when these things happen, it may means that we need financial expert advice from these lending institutions and get the best available facility that can assist us. So again, we just need to come together. Forgive, forget, it's very difficult, but having found ourselves in a position like this, again, we need to assess where are we, what do we have, and how do we go about solving this problem.
Thank you very much. Leonard, any closing words?
I agree with, first of all, prioritize. There are high interest debts. Pay those first. And then seek professional help. I don't trust the lending institutions to give me advice.
Okay.
Seek help from others, if possible. Don't go back to the person who gave you that debt to advise you about solving the debt. One thing that I've noticed here is that probably there's no transparency. So let's fix the problem that brought the problem. Why is it your husband has got 4 credit cards which are now?
Yeah.
Why has he got 2 loans which you don't know about?
Yeah.
Those are things that we must address. There's something hidden there, which comes back to communication. I'm the boss. I own everything. I don't have to tell my wife. So there are dynamics
there's something
that I want my sister to also look at. I'm not blaming her in this case, so I can see where the problem is. And it's us, the males. The power dynamics coming in. I do whatever I want. Then you fall into this, you're ruining the whole family. And now the wife is the one who wants to solve it.
True. All right. 10 seconds. Closing words. We are closing now. From yourself.
One thing that we didn't mention, we should not, we should plan to increase our value in the family as our value as human beings, so that we can be able, because normally as we grow, families grow in size, but our value stays the same. By value, I mean the skills that we can use to bring in more resources into the family, and also learn to invest better. Saving is not the only way to bring money because of inflation. Let's invest more, let's use financial knowledge, and God willing, we'll come off as a better family.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you, Solomon. It is not the amount that is in the account. It is the accountability and transparency that matters.
Excellent. Tashken.
I agree 100% with Leonard. It is the accountability and transparency that matters. We need to come together as family and do it as one. And if we do that, we will be fine.
Guys, what a time we've had. I've learned a lot. Thank you very much. I know we have not been able to cover everything, because all good things need to come to an end, but We will have follow-up sessions on this. Now, Solomon said there is hope. So viewers, couples who are going through financial difficulties, there is hope. We do have financial experts in family matters like Tashken. So let's say Leonard talked about something really important to say, don't go to the lenders to ask for advice. You can always come to Family Matters. We've got experts like Tashken and many others behind the scenes who would be happy to sit with you and give you some financial guidance, financial training, etc., etc. There is hope. Salam alaikum. Thank you.